will sign and return that to me. Due 5 days after the first reservation is a deposit. So at your first during your first reservation on the permit, you will see a deposit of $974, which will be charged on that first rental, and then you will receive that deposit back as a credit or refund towards your final reservation. So after your last reservation, again, if none of that is depleted, it will be either credited to you towards that last rental or refunded. And that will be typically refunded in the manner that you pay. So if you pay check or card, it will be refunded the same way, check or card. Yeah. Necessary paperwork. So necessary paperwork that we need to collect here at the complex. In order to have the reservations valid, we need to have an application, valid ID, the certificate of insurance, and all that will be collected again prior to February 15th. The tournament field diagram, which is what we collect during the week of the tournament, which is the information for what you would like reserved for the fields. Once you have your reservation coming along, how you want the field set up for you. Those are due 5 days, no less than 5 days prior to the tournament date. We will also need game day schedules broken down of games, and these are due no less than 2 days prior to the tournament start date. So that would be a Thursday going into Saturday and Sunday, no later than Thursday. And then also this has been a little bit of a change for this next year for 25. Game schedules should include watering times for summer reservations. So during the summer, when it's hotter, we will ask that you put down 10 to 15 minutes of watering periods, and that they are staggered so that we can have park maintenance or staff on site here with the parks team go out there and turn on the infield watering for games. And that will be required. That you will have to have that on your schedules. And then also, once the tournament post fee is sent out after the tournament has concluded, it is your responsibility to sign, date, and return those post fees to the coordinator, which is me, within 5 business days of conclusion of the tournament or when it's sent out. Once the signed post fee has been returned to the coordinator, depending on if there are any changes, your permit will reflect either a charge for any services used or credit refund for any services not used. In that including, it would be, let's say, at the beginning of the month, well, let's go down a little more. So refunds will be issued in the same manner the permit was paid for each prospective month. Example, if you paid it by check March 1st for your March tournaments and a rainout occurs in March, you'll be refunded for that May rainout via check. If you are not able to host your reserved weekend, it is your responsibility to contact me 15 days prior to the tournament via email to avoid being charged for your reservations. Now, what I want to touch down is that the first of every month, how we've been doing for 2024, you will receive that permit, which will have the amount due for each of your tournaments for reserving the fields. And then if you incur any indemnities after the fact, such as scorekeepers, gate person, any type of field preps or lighting usage, those will be reflected afterwards, and then those will be due at the end of the month, at the last day of the month. So for March, it would be due March 31st. Okay, any questions on any of that information, the first 2 slides that we just went over? No questions? Anyone have any type of questions, comments?
Yeah, and I guess like the one change that we made is just going to be those summertime waterings that are going to be built in. Honestly, it's going to just give you guys I don't know, the fields get really dusty, so this is coming from our park maintenance team, but I think it's going to benefit your teams who already who play out there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions like now or even during or after this meeting, let us know. We could kind of provide you like an example of like what that tournament schedule would look like. But it's just giving like adequate time for like the park maintenance team or our staff at the complex to put some water down. It could be really quick. So it's just, getting the fields wet a little bit to avoid the dust. And hopefully that is going to actually I don't know, help your teams out with the dust, like playing their games, like when it's like 100+ degrees.
So I got a quick question about the payments. Can you send us an email after the tournament with if any money's owed?
Yes.
Because sometimes a lot of us run so many tournaments, we'll just forget, but if you send us an email, it'll help, because sometimes you give us a piece of paper and it'll get lost between the way out of the tournament, dropping off at warehouses, whatever. So that's
Yeah.
all I would say would be helpful to me at least. So I
Yeah,
can
so-
make sure I get
so-
paid on time.
Yeah, perfect, Jay. So that's a good comment. And what we're trying to get in the groove of is, yeah, you will receive that post fee right after the conclusion of the tournament, and then you will sign that post fee with anything that you use after the fact, return to me, and then we're looking to get that paid within 5 days of when you sign that post fee. But more realistically, we're looking that it's paid by the end of that month. So whatever tournament you have in that month, it's paid up by the end. Yeah, you'll be receiving that post fee right after the tournament, like how we've been doing.
Thanks.
Hey, just a question on the follow-up on the watering of the fields. I want to make sure I'm clear on this. We're not doing that. It's city staff doing that.
Correct. Yeah. So good question, Dustin. Yeah. So it would be city staff and park maintenance combination of workforces. So you're going to be putting down the times that you would want those breaks for watering. And then, yes, we would send our staff to go and turn those infield watering on for each of the fields.
Go ahead, Dustin.
That's
Well,
it.
what if the game goes extra innings? Will the staff say, well, sorry, that's not in your allotted time, and then not water if needed still?
No, as long as we have an idea, we're gonna go with, we'll make it work. So we understand that some of the games go further than what's expected, and it's just gonna give us a general idea of when to go out there and help, put that water down.
Okay.
Yeah, and I highly doubt it's going to take 15 minutes like per field. It's just like that time's going to be designated for it. So even if we turn the sprinklers on for a couple minutes, that's better than not turning them on at all. So yeah, I'm sure just having that built in is going to give us some leeway. But I'm sure like once the water's down, field looks good, then you guys can resume the next game.
Cool. Good questions. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, perfect. So
Luis,
go ahead.
I have one, but it's not related to watering. Do you want me to hold? I know we said there's going to be 3 separate breaks. Do you want me to hold
Yes.
for the next break?
Did it have anything to do with the last 2 slides that we went over?
No.
Okay, then yeah, then wait, and then we'll have a break at the end for any general questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so the next portion we'll go over here is going to be permit and fee processes, and we're also going to be going over revision of complex rules. So first things first, so the weekend rental package, it's gone up a bit. So we'll be at $1,948 for both Saturday and Sunday for 2025. That is the package rate that we have for both days. So when you reserve that, you have to reserve both days for that price. Lighting fees will be adjusted to $33 per field per hour. That's again one of the options that you can use that would reflect on the post fee. And then also our post fee has been updated so that it will show each field more details so that you can see on the post fee what was used on each of the fields. Reservations outside of Saturday and Sunday package, any day, Monday through Friday, will be charged at $55 per field per hour, as well as an additional charge for lights if needed. So that is, I know that's going to be a little bit changed up. So instead of the same package rate, it's now being charged for per hour per field at the $55 rate, which is the normal rental rate. $974 deposit will be charged at the first tournament date of the year you reserve. Will be credited back towards or refunded back towards your last reservation date of the year. For some of you that have have 1 date reservations, that would be a deposit that goes into it, and then again it would be up to you. I'll check in with you guys when that moment comes. But again, you can use it as a credit towards whatever you use, and then or refund it back to you. Payments will now be available for you to make online. So that's a new thing that we'll have available for 2025. You'll be able to keep track of your previous and upcoming payments. You can see all the information together online for your organization. Payments made online may incur a small service fee when paying with credit card. We're not 100% sure on the details. We're still I can still get a little more details on that for those of you that are interested in going that route. If you interested in going that route, please check in with me via email after the meeting, and then I can gather more information as well as generate an account for you where you can see all this information. Payment for field reservations for tournaments need to be paid on the first of each month prior to your tournaments that month. For example, tournaments for March should be paid on March 1st. Payments for tournament anemones, lights, field preps, scorekeepers, or gate person needs to be paid by the last date of the month the tournament was hosted. For example, tournaments hosted in March, they need to pay for all anemones used by March 31st. The post fee will now include breakdown of lights used per field on weekends for your convenience. So that's what I touched a little bit earlier on. It will show a little more detail on each of the fields, so you see the total number of lights per field. Okay, revision of complex rules. So some complex rules that need to be enforced during tournament weekends via director and or front gate staff. They need to be enforced, and we've been doing pretty good this year. We've had a couple things that we need to tighten up on, but for the most part, we're doing better. Someone must be present at the front gate until the start of the last game of the day. So that's really important. So I've been noticing some of us, we tend to lose that gate person throughout the tournaments. They must be there until the start of the last game. We can provide a gate person now at an extra cost of $25 per hour. So for those of you that are looking for a gate person to enforce these rules as people are coming in, there will be an option for that now, and that will be reflected on the post fee after the tournament concludes for how long you have the person used for your tournaments. Outside food is strictly prohibited. So the food has been a little rocky this year. So we need also just make sure that we're reminding our guests that no outside food is prohibited other than small light snacks. We do have a contract with the cafe that's out here, so we do not allow any type of outside food coming into the complex. We're going to ask for all the directors' help to kind of help, keep a tight control on that and send that information out to your guests. Subleasing weekends to other directors without prior approval to the coordinator is strictly prohibited. So if you are unable to host a tournament weekend you have reserved, it is your responsibility to inform me as soon as possible that, whether you need to cancel or are looking to have somebody else step in. Reminder, no alcohol or pets, in particular dogs, should be allowed in the complex, otherwise may result in the loss of deposit. I know that a lot of us have been doing better with controlling these things. I know some of them are a little difficult. As I've spoken to somebody in the past, as long as you're doing your part best to help us control that, we should be okay. Directors are welcome to enter the complex with their vehicles during the tournament setup and breakdown. So when they come in, you can, come in with your vehicles, set everything up. Once you're done, bring them back in to break everything down. But they must return the vehicles to the parking lot once setup is complete. No unauthorized vehicles are allowed to stay in the complex. So just make sure that, again, if you're bringing vehicles in, just make sure they're going back to the complex parking lot. So for the rest of the tournament until you guys are done. Okay. Any questions on those two slides?
And I just have one thing to add real quick. So I know we do, like, a new thing that we could add is if you guys are looking for somebody, we could provide a staff member to cover the gate for you and make sure that nobody's bringing anything in. If you're interested even at all, reach out to Luis and just let him know. I just want to make sure if that is the case and you are interested in us providing staff, that we just have adequate time to schedule this staff. Yeah, we do have limited staff, but like with advanced notice, it's just going to make it easier for us to actually schedule somebody for you. So if that is something that you're interested, just maybe let us know soon. I think after this meeting, Luis and I will probably get something in writing and update the packet to put something in place, just like requesting that service, like off the top of my head, a couple of weeks before, so that we just have enough time to schedule somebody. Yeah, just I don't know, we always have like turnover of staff. So I just want to make sure that if you are interested in that service, we can kind of plan accordingly. And it's not like super last minute, like, yeah, that it's the request is coming with the tournament schedule. So just wanted to throw that out there, but we could probably iron out something like more like a policy of like letting us know like maybe 2 weeks in advance if you know that you're going to want that service.
Thank you, Tyler. And does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Luis, I think this one kind of ties into these slides, so I'm going to ask it now opposed to the general. But I know you mentioned having someone at the gate checking, kind of acting as security. And so in that similar line, you know, is there going to be a security guard provided by the complex? We had an issue with a vehicle break-in, and I wasn't sure if there's any talk about having additional security down the line, or if that's going to be the onus of the tournament coordinators.
So that's a good question, Jordan. As of right now, we do not have an option for security. That is on the that is to be provided from from you guys and the directors coming out to the tournaments.
Okay.
The gate people, they will be more so enforcing the rules as you know, as people are guests coming into the complex. So if you're looking to use one of our staff as a gate person, again, they wouldn't be as security. They would be more so just enforcing the rules and making sure things are permitted coming into the complex. And then we do have some staff members on site that are in the meeting right now, and they do periodically do walk around the parking lot to help and kind of keep an eye on things. But as of right now, we do not have an option for security, for providing security. It's been talked about, so it might be something that we may provide in the future. But at the moment, we don't have an option for that. I don't know if Tyler or Heather, you guys want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I can touch on that a little bit, but we are working out some details of actually having like a contracted service to get security out at tournaments. It would be the responsibility of the tournament director, and it would be a higher rate than if we just provided our staff to like cover the gate. You can still utilize our staff if like any of your gate people or even our staff. If we see anything suspicious, we do have a call list of like reaching out to the park rangers. So yeah, if you do ever see anything suspicious, I know it is you know, there needs to be people out kind of monitoring the parking lot, but our staff can kind of provide the service of just like, yeah, reaching out to the park rangers. That's kind of something comes up at the moment. But yeah, we will definitely, if we work through more details with the actual security, the contracted service, which we have similar things in place for community centers that are similar. They operate kind of similar to us, but like we do things a little bit differently. But we will reach out to everybody if we do get those finalized by 2025. But yeah, for now, we just have that $25 for our staff to be at the gate. Again, if like our staff did see something suspicious, like they would report it. We could call 311. We could call the park rangers and address it that way. But yeah, you are more than welcome to provide your own security as well.
Okay, thank you. I wonder, I don't know if there's an opportunity. I don't know how you guys would feel about it, but even if we call the park rangers, you know, a couple weeks beforehand and just say, hey, would you mind swinging by our tournament, especially because we have a Friday evening tournament, and just see if they're willing to do a couple pass bys. I really don't think we need like a full-time security force, but some sort of deterrent, I think, at least would hopefully make some folks feel a little bit better and keep some of this at bay. But and I know it was an isolated event too, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I certainly appreciate the discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something we could do. If we could request the park rangers. We are very limited across the city, but we could always request it to see if they could just like pass through. And even like their presence also is like a deterrent for people like, yeah, causing problems like in the parking lot. So we could definitely do that. Maybe just reach out to us a little bit further in advance before your tournament, and we could request that service.
Perfect. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Tyler. Do we have any other questions?
I got a question. I don't know if did we figure out when we could set up times when the gates open and all that yet for 2025? Or is that on the next slide?
That's on the next slide.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Any other questions about the last two slides we went over? Here, I'll go back one more time just so you guys can.
Well,
Okay, I got
know-
one more question.
I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
We talked about watering a couple slides ago. Did you get that fixed where you can have access to it and so it doesn't come on during games?
Okay, so we do not, unfortunately, this is not the best answer. We do not have access to the sprinklers. But we have been working with park maintenance to be more proactive in the sense of them understanding what our operation hours are so that they are setting up the sprinklers to go off around our programs. But long story short, no, we do not have access to for like an emergency shut off or things like that. We do have a person that is in charge of shutting them off. So there is a process, but us directly, unfortunately, no, we do not.
Yeah, and I'll just touch base like a little bit more about that. So yeah, the approach for 2025 is we are going to have more coordination with park maintenance, and we are going to program, like really work with them, see like how the programs are set for the sprinklers. So sprinklers should never come on during games, and we'll have adequate time like after games. So say if a game goes into extra innings, we have any like hiccup where it pushes games back, just to like foresee that. And I know that we've had some issues, with sprinklers coming on during games, at the end of games, when even like teams are walking out. And just advanced planning, that's like the whole thing for this year of working with park maintenance. We are still working on trying to have like an emergency shut off, but like we're really trying to plan around all of our programs where we have like hours after or hours before, like we're returning them off. I know another issue was like having sprinklers running like before games start and then the fields are wet. So we're working through all of those with advanced planning. And then us like as like our recreation staff actually seeing what those programs look like, and just making sure there's not going to be any conflicts. Like I guess just some context behind it is they could only run a certain amount of sprinklers at a time just because there's like low water pressure out there. Something's in the works to get a booster pump to like make it so all the sprinklers could run at the same time. So that's something in the works right now. So yeah, we do understand the frustration around the sprinklers. We're pretty frustrated too, but like we are working through that. And just making sure that it's programmed like in a smart way where we aren't like conflicting, and even like giving like an hour or two of leeway before games start and after games like finish, just so if like games like if the unexpected happens, we do have some time to basically have the sprinklers or everybody clear out of the complex, games finish, and then the sprinklers come on.
I had
Okay,
a
thank
question
you.
about the league fees that you brought up Monday through Friday.
Yes.
So I run a league and I was very fortunate to be successful at it. But just talking to our teams and customers and players, it's so much more expensive, your league fee. Most parks during the week stuff is cheaper than their weekend. But you guys have the league fees so expensive. I was very fortunate to do a really good job, but I'm worried about maintaining it. I'm worried that eventually my good league on Wednesday night is going to go away because eventually these teams are just going to have it. They're just not going to keep paying these high fees. So I just wanted to put that out there in case there's someone you guys can talk to about for future to try to help build up your Monday through Friday program. Maybe not charging so much for the league people might help fill that park more Monday through Friday and might help me maintain this great league that I was able to build out there in the last year or so. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'm sure this might not be the place for it, but I just have to mention that since you're all here.
Yeah, we don't really have too much control over the prices, but we can use feedback and kind of propose new fees for the future. So yeah, definitely if you have any feedback, let us know. We could definitely be advocates of like, making any changes, but we don't have like direct control over changing all fees, but appreciate the insight, Jay.
Yeah, no,
I'll take some notes down.
Like when I rent the fields at Woodland or Mather during the week, it's way cheaper than renting the fields from you. On the weekends, they're top-notch facilities, all turf,
What?
they're way more expensive than you. So it just
What do you
kind of
mean?
throws me off because I love the complex. It's my home. And it, so I just wanted to throw that out there in case the next time you guys have city meetings, maybe you could suggest that to help build up the Monday through Friday programs and keep them, healthy like they used to be. So that's all I got on that. Thank you.
I'll keep this brief, Tyler, but thank you, Jay. I just wanted to chime in and say we hear you for sure, and you're not the only person asking for that. And just giving my little gold star to Tyler, Luis, and Zakia, because they have actually already proposed something similar. So working on it, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
Keep you posted if we're able to get some kind of matinee type pricing
Sure.
in the future. So just wanted to say thank you.
Okay. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. Those are good questions, comments. Does anybody else have anything in the comments or questions? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the next and final portion here. So the next portions we're going to talk about is hours of operation, as you were about to ask, Jay, and then also some expectations for directors for the year. So for hours of operation, we have earliest game start times right now for spring and summer. It's been updated for 8 a.m. It's the same for spring and summer, but for fall and winter is now 8:30 a.m. And what that means is that those are game start times. Those are when we will have fields ready to go. And for you to start your games at those times, 8 a.m. spring, summer, and then 8:30 fall and winter. Gates will be allowed open to guests and players spring. Spring and summer is 7 a.m. So an hour prior to your game start time. And then for fall and winter would be 7:30 a.m. Again, an hour prior to the game start times. And with the exception that players and guests will be allowed to enter the complex, but without entering the field space. So they're not going to be allowed to go onto the infield nor outfield until the field space is deemed ready by staff on site. So we will do our best to, again, it's with your help as well, to keep people off the fields. They can use the warm-up sections around the fields, but we're going to be a little more strict on that. And then again, they can hit the fields as soon as either they're ready or until that start of game time, which again is 8 a.m. or 8:30 for fall and winter. Tournament directors, so you guys are allowed to enter as early as 6:30 a.m. For setting up, and that's year round. So throughout the whole year, if you want to come in, you come in as early as 6:30 to come in and start setting up for your tournaments. Earliest game start time for spring, summer, again, 8 a.m., fall, winter, 8:30 a.m. Tournaments need to be concluded, everyone gone by 11:30 p.m. We have had a couple of tournaments that have gone to really close that cusp or just barely over. If that is to happen, you guys have to check in with me first. Please let me know. We very rarely, I mean, it's possible for us to go, but we will try to make sure that we're ending at that 11:30 p.m. sharp end time. All right, expectations. So some expectations for the directors, for you guys for the year. So we expect for you guys to follow and help enforce those Sacramento softball complex rules that we have at the front gates for tournaments, such as tailgating, no tailgating, no outside food or alcohol, and pets. So these are the three things that have kind of gone a little bit, it's a little more than normal this year. So if we can ask for your help to please help us. Again, enforce these rules, just send out some reminders to your guests. That would be greatly appreciated. And we'll also save you potential, violation fees at the end if we do receive too much of that stuff going on. Have tournament field layout diagrams ready to go 5 days prior to tournament date. So again, that's the field layout diagram, the diagram that you guys send back to me, how you guys want the field set up. The game schedules for your tournament should be submitted to the coordinator, which is me, at least 2 days prior to tournament date. And then the game schedules, that's the breakdown of your tournament times, what's expected to play out for the tournaments. Again, so another expectation is to provide a list of adult security volunteers and their work schedules to coordinator at least 2 business days prior to the tournament. So what I'm asking is for you to just give us the name of the person that will be at the front gate and possibly, if possible, we'd also like to see the sub-director or the person that will be in charge for the day, so we know who to communicate with along with the schedule when you send that in with the broken down schedule Saturday and Sunday. Again, just include the sub-director, director, or also the gate person that'll be working for the tournament. So we also expect for you to pay for all weekend tournaments every first of the month prior to tournament dates. Submit any cancellation, changes, or updates to tournaments within 15 days prior to your tournament to avoid any charges. And then to keep the Sacramento softball complex safe and clean. So those are the expectations, short, sweet, and simple. Any questions?
Yeah, and I guess I'll just make a comment. So I know a lot of tournament directors brought to our attention for the fall and winter about those 9 a.m. start times. So we did go back and forth with park maintenance to kind of see if they, we could be consistent across the board and have 8 a.m. start times with the gates opening 1 hour in advance. So we met in the middle. I know it's not exactly what we were all looking for, but it's better. 30 minutes is, you'll be able to start games 30 minutes earlier than last year. So at least we're able to compromise in the middle where you guys can start those games at 8:30 in the fall and winter. And just like a comment, something that's kind of difficult for us is letting everybody in the complex 1 hour early. So we're just going to make some signage for 2025 just to block off the dugouts when we do allow like teams and players and spectators in. So we just want to eliminate any player going on the field when park maintenance is doing like the field preps. It's just like a safety concern. Park maintenance is pretty strict about this. So we do want to give you guys the flexibility of getting your teams in, utilizing our warm-up areas in between fields. But we just ask to stay off the fields until, the first game time. And we will make it easy for you guys because we know it's tough for our staff, for crowd management. We know it's tough for the tournament directors and sub-directors and your staff to, kind of control all the spectators and teams and players and coaches coming in at that time. So we're going to make it, try to make it as easy as possible because I know it is frustrating for the park maintenance team if people do just kind of wander out on the fields. So we're going to make some signage and just kind of block off those dugouts. And then right when the games start, that's when, they could go on the fields. So we tried our best to, get it consistent across the board for 8 a.m. But we are going to meet in the middle just for the fall and winter for 8:30 game times. So that's just some context behind it.
Well, I got comments. Appreciate you guys at least going to bat for us and making it a little easier and letting us come in and set up earlier. So thank you. But my questions would be, why can't it be reversed? Like during the winter is when tournaments are busier. Why can't we start early in the winter and later in the other parts of the year? Like, what is the maintenance's, what's the reasoning behind that? Like, that throws me like off because no other parks do that.
No other parks do that.
So why is that? Like, what did the maintenance guys say? We don't understand because we all run between us all hundreds of events at dozens of park complexes, and we've never ran into this problem ever. And I haven't in my 25 years. So
I
I'm
haven't
curious, like last year, we just all felt like, what are they doing? But now we see you guys have made an honest effort to make it better. But we're just curious why it's like that.
So what we have been told by park maintenance in the wintertime, there's dew on the grass and their equipment could damage the grass if they start too early. So that's what we were being told. I am aware that, know their place. I've done my research around the area, and this is a policy that is specific to the city of Sacramento. So yeah, we expressed everybody's concerns. We did. I'm recording this call too. None of our park maintenance team could be on this call, so we'll pass this information along. And again, we do listen to everything you guys say, and I'm glad that we could at least meet in the middle. But that is the reasoning that we got. So yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah, that's what we're being told. We kind of have gone back and forth. So I mean, it's a mini victory where we meet in the middle. But yeah. That is, I guess that's the information that we're told.
Okay, no, that's fair. And then one more quick thing. When you say we wait for the staff to tell us when we could go onto the fields, would that be like Stephanie, Linda, Luis, or is that the park maintenance guys?
It'd be our staff, Jay.
Okay. That's okay. Perfect.
And I'll just piggyback on Tyler there, Jay, just so you know, again, thank you for your feedback. This conversation is never over. So please do continue to let us know when you have feedback like this. If we're able to get any more wiggle room on that start time, we will absolutely do so. I mean, our preference is to be customer service forward. So
Yeah.
if we can get another change with park maintenance to make it even better for you, we definitely will. Working on it for sure.
So I have a question. So if you're starting later in the wintertime, when it gets dark quicker, are we going to get a break on the lights because we have to turn them on earlier and we're starting later?
So no, I mean, unfortunately not. We'd have to start you'd be charged from 30 minutes prior to sunset the same way throughout the year. So whenever we hit those lights, turn them on, that's when the charge begins.
Okay, but you see, you're making us start later, which is going to make us incur more light fees.
Right. Tyler, do you have anything you want to talk about or touching on that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think it's coming to my attention, like a big reason why you guys want to start early. One, you could get more games in, but two, you could eliminate that. Let me talk with my team to see if there is any wiggle room on that. But I do hear what you're saying, and I think there's been a couple other tournament directors that have brought that to our attention. But yeah, hey, let me talk to my team to see if there is any flexibility, because I do hear what you're saying, and kind of like the reason. Yeah, you guys want to start games, but I'm sure there is some wiggle room. Maybe we could shave off like 30 minutes. Before, so if you're using all 4 fields, maybe we could shave off 2 hours of lights of 30 minutes on each field. But let me talk to everybody to see if we have any flexibility, and we'll get back. But I definitely hear you with that concern.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. So anybody else have any questions, comments, any concerns?
Is it halftime yet, Tyler?
Hi.
Minute 56.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
You can. Okay, great. Just to touch on what Jay brought up earlier regarding costs, especially during the week. And again, I don't know that this is the right place. I just want to know what the right place is to provide that feedback. With regards to costs that don't seem really equitable to what's already being laid out there for leagues that are more of a built-in pricing versus having to piece that out, especially when there's a need there that just can't be met by those built-in. So that's just a concern that we have. We're trying to make the numbers work. But boy, the increases are just staggering versus where they were before. So it's a significant percentage increase, not just slight or incremental. It seems pretty I should say pretty far out there to try and recover or get back to where we were as a league for our own tournament and our own Monday night league. We've been there for a very long time. So I have the same concerns that Jay has. And I think other leagues do too. We've spoken to a few directors. So it's just a concern. And I know that this might not be the right form because this is very heavily driven. We know everybody in this chat. We go to all the tournaments, but we respect them tremendously. But I would really love to know what the right form or what the discussion will look like for that moving forward. Thank you.
I can chime in quickly, David. Thanks for being here for tonight and for putting forth your thoughts here. I know that Tyler and Luis, especially, and Zakia now, are working really hard on making sure everything is as equitable as possible. I will say that we don't have a whole lot of control over the fees themselves. I'm talking to people who have been here for a long time, so I'm sure I'm being redundant. You know this, but the fees are approved and managed by the city manager's office as well as city council. So it is definitely public information that the city of Sacramento as a whole is in a budget deficit situation. And so from an administrative perspective, we have to maintain following the book of fees that is approved by city manager and city council. So any, flexibility, we will do everything we can to make this as customer friendly as we can. We do have to go ahead and adhere to the fees that we are given. That said, please continue to let us know what you need. And anytime that the fees are going forth to city council, you're welcome to provide public feedback and we welcome it. So we'll keep working with you and making sure that things are as smooth as we can.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, David.
Thank you both. Thank you.
All right. Any other, those are great comments, great questions. Does anyone else have any other type of questions? I mean, and if you don't, if you think of any questions or any comments or anything that you think of after this meeting, you can always feel free to reach out to me via email. And again, we'll get back to you and answer those questions that you have.
I got
But
one more.
sure, go ahead.
I'm worried about Lance Oliver. I've never heard him be so quiet this long. So I just want to do a check on him, make sure he's okay. Lance?
Lance, are you
Is he
there?
here?
Paging Lance.
Maybe he's watching,
watching
the
the
Niners
game.
game.
There you go. He's watching the Niners game. He's all right.
He knows the rules, Jay. He's got it.
All right. Well, if you don't need me, I got a 6:30, so I don't mean to dart off early, but thank you guys.
Cool. Yeah, just really quickly, Jay, before you take off. Yeah, so you guys have those attachments to this presentation. So you have the rental packet. In those, you'll see the highlights of the new things that we've added. So make sure you guys take a look at that rental packet that has all the information for renting out here. Field diagram, post fee, sample insurance, and application. So yeah, so if you guys have any questions, reach out to me via email, give me a phone call. I'll be available for you guys. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Nice meeting everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for being here, Zakia.
Thank you, Heather. Thank
It
you.
was a great
everybody.
meeting.